it.
And if LemonDogs pick up a victory here, they guarantee a first-place position going into the playoffs. So this is very important for both of these teams. As we've been waffling, all the bans have gone through. Lee Sin targeted Aranea, Ezreal obviously targeted Creatine, and I think that's a good ban because Creatine hasn't necessarily been as impactful on other ADCs.
Totally agree with that one. Ezreal is the one that is really shone on throughout the course of this summer split. Shen was also taken out. Shen, Kerp, we don't need to explain that one, and Kerp will be happy because he doesn't like playing Shen anyway. Zed then taken out towards NukeDog. Again, his ability to roam with these assassin champions is just amazing, so that's not going to be in there. Thresh taken from Mithy. He said yesterday, give me Thresh and we win the game, put it bluntly. And then Elise taken away more from Dexter than Zoro0. Dexter in the jungle with that one. That game against Gambit, of course, the incredible game that he pulled off with that one is really what's coming down. So into the picks. Jarvan the fourth picked up for Dexter, his biggest go-to champion so far in the split. On the other side, Lissandra picked up there along with Varus. Now, Lissandra is the real big one in there because we have seen Pharrell playing it a lot and has been, for the most part, very successful.
Believe it or not, in terms of the statistics, though, it's actually Dexter's Jarvan that's more impressive. A 4.5 KDA on a jungler, which is a very scary statistic to have. What we do see in terms of some of the other picks, these are basically comfort picks so far. You know, you've got Creatine. He is falling back to Varus. It is his third most played AD. Even though he's played a number of AD carries, it's a very safe AD, does well in lane, does well mid-game, does well late-game, offers a lot of utility. And when you combine that with the utility of Lissandra, it allows the likes of Aranea to go for a less CC-heavy jungler. I wonder if they'd be considering Hecarim because it's something Aranea has played a significant amount of. If not, maybe even something like a Nasus might complement them. You've got a lot of AoE and things like that. So we do have a quick dropout, and we'll have to see how Alternate decides to lock in.
Yeah, not sure exactly what happened with that one, but it was probably Mithy's fault. He was laughing about it, so we're going to blame Mithy for that one.
It's always Mithy's fault.
It's always Mithy's fault, and that's from before Mithy was even in the LCS here with the
During the
LemonDogs.
promotion tournament. I mean, you cast your mind back, you know, Mithy broke the promotion tournament.
Yep.
He's going to hate me when this comes out, but yes, blame him for that one, guys.
Always blame Mithy. That's something we've come to learn here. So yeah, we're going to get back into Champion Select here in just a little while. And that gives a little bit more time to talk about it as well. In terms especially of this jungle pick, I think from Aranea, having that Lee Sin banned out against him. We've seen Hecarim from him. We've seen a lot of Vi as well, which is another possibility.
So he played Vi yesterday, and I didn't feel like it had a very big impact on many of the fights, many of the engagements. In particular, when we seen him using his Assault Berry, the ultimate of Vi, it tended to be on targets that were basically going to go down. And that was like this is 100% secure. I'm going to slam them into the ground so everyone else can focus them. And I feel like if Aranea had used those ultimates on other targets in team fights, it would have been more impactful. So that could definitely have been something they've, you know, stepped back and talked about. Aranea in particular died more times than he should have in yesterday's games. And he was very vocal about his performance.
He's not a player who's scared of admitting when he's wrong. That's probably not right. He never admits he's wrong. He just admits that he doesn't play well. Yes. I think that's an important difference to make with that one. But yeah, he was very vocal on Twitter, you know, as he usually is after games like that, where after the first loss he said, I don't really know what happened because we didn't do what we'd trained. We didn't follow calls. We just basically ignored what we'd done there. We saw the house where they've been training for this last week and a half, basically. And they just ignored everything they'd done there, all the work that they put in. So we'll see if, as you mentioned earlier, and a good night's sleep and a bit more of a clear head, a different day, as Hercubot told us earlier on, whether that is going to impact on things.
The question for me is, what do they do in the early game? Because Alternate are a very, very good team in the early game. LemonDogs tend to be fairly passive in the laning phase. If you look at all of the games throughout the split, they don't tend to go hyper-aggressive in your face very often. And they do tend to start shining once you start challenging for the mid-game objectives like Dragon, Towers, things like that. So if Alternate do pick champions that can do well early and get an advantage early, they may be able to stifle and prevent LemonDogs getting to that power position.
And one tactic that we saw is basically to take Dexter's tent away from him and stop him camping around those lanes just by playing super defensive, clinging to your tower so that he couldn't actually get in there to do much. And we'll see if that's something that the alternate guys want to do today.
So before we get the next two picks for alternate, LemonDogs have got 3 of the 5 champions that they picked versus Ninjas in Pajamas. The Twitch, the Sona, and the Jarvan. They followed it up with a Twisted Fate and a Vladimir. And part of the reason the game was so slow is you need to farm up all of those items to get those 2 champions to power positions. I think they may consider locking that in again. I think they may consider going for the same composition because we do see that Vi has been secured there for Aranea.
And a Blitzcrank. Love me a bit of Blitzcrank, and that's going to be interesting to see. J-Ree, of course, has early in the season played a lot of Thresh. He likes those kind of clutch play champions that you can pull out there. And Blitzcrank obviously is one of them. It doesn't matter how many hooks you miss, it's the ones that land that are going to be making the biggest impact on the game. LemonDogs actually finishing off their roster here with an Ahri and a Zac.
So I think the Blitzcrank is probably what made them double take the picks that they want, because if you've got a Blitzcrank in the team, if you're a Jarvan or a Zac and you get pulled in, that's a bonus. You don't have to use your knockup or your mobility combos to engage. So if you're a Vladimir or a Twisted Fate, less optimal. You only really want to commit with Vlad when you're 100% confident you're going to win. And Ahri is a good counter pick to all of that. You can stay far away from Pharrell and Lord's Lissandra. If you get a charm done, you mitigate a lot of the spell costs. And it's a fairly well-rounded comp, but it's very much pick-oriented. They have to get a kill fairly early in a team fight and then focus, because they're not necessarily all AoE.
Well, look at this. Right now, he's been hovering over a couple of champions that would associate with that mid lane, the Orianna for Pharrell and Lord, which means that we're going to be seeing Kerp having the Lissandra this time around.
Now, Alternate played Orianna yesterday, and I don't think Pharrell hit as many shockwaves as he needed to. A number of times throughout the match against Gambit in particular, he threw the shockwave down and it hit minions. And it just wasn't as impactful as we have seen from Pharrell in the past. That is partially to do with Gambit's composition. They were fairly mobile, they were jumping in and out of different places. But I think that Pharrell needs to just keep himself calm. And if he lands some very good shockwaves onto Ahri, Twitch, and Sona, that can win them team fights.
Well, you've got to land them. That's the thing. As is with Blitzcrank, as is with the ultimate of Creatine. Kerp, not so much, because you got to get in there and just put it on the right target there. But we'll see about this one, because Alternate, in the frame of mind that I think they were in yesterday after their games, they were not in the right position for, mentally for the stage of the season that we're actually at right now. So it's important for them that they've had a good talk about this and that they've really wiped the slate clean almost from yesterday.
Yeah, and in terms of the composition as well, Alternate have got a very clear signal here that they would ideally like to have a 2v2 matchup. With a Blitzcrank against a Sona, that's basically a hard counter, You can just pull Sona in, she's super squishy in the early levels, knock her up in the air with that Power Fist, and with the burst damage that Varus is going to have with a couple of Blighted Quiver stacks on, you can kill Sona very, very quickly. So if Alternate are jumping into this game, I wouldn't be surprised to see them sending their dual lane top to try and counter the dual lane, to try and pick up kills on the dual lane of LemonDogs.
And just a quick bit of information, guys. After this game, before we start the next one, we're going to run you through the standings, because I think we all need a refresher on that one and exactly where they are at right now, because they're all going to change again when this game is actually finished up. So we'll get our mathematicians to sort all that one out, and we'll be able to bring you an update on that. But for now, we are into the game. LemonDogs versus Alternate. Take us through level 1 here. It's pretty much about Blitzcrank.
It's all about Blitzcrank. You don't want to invade in a Blitzcrank, and if you are invading with Blitz, you need to get some early vision down. I think that we may see a defensive start from Alternate, maybe covering some parts of their jungle, but at the moment, they just seem to be stacking up on the bottom half of the map. It's LemonDogs that are poisoning themselves with let's go in positioning.
Certainly are. Moving down in towards this bottom brush right now. And going to be getting in there. Actually, Nuke Duck is going to be the one that spots Creatine. And Alternate trying to react to this one. Oh, this is so dangerous.
Now, the pings were right on top of LemonDog's heads, right? J-Ree has already scaled up, hasn't scaled up anything, so he has the ability to do a rocket grab. But the problem is, Alternate need to try and bait. And you see wisely, LemonDogs back away. As soon as they click, oh, hang on a second, we're within rocket grab range.
Yeah, and they waited in there in that tri-bush as well until the flag actually timed out from them as well. Smart stuff from Alternate, but in the end, not able to actually pick anything up. So that will leave us with a slower start as we expected. And you can see there that Jerry is actually headed home, which tells me that duo lane is going to be going topside. Or is it? Actually, they've cancelled that one off now, and Kerp is going to be the one going up.
Yeah, so it actually looks like Alternate are going to be in a position where they're going to deal with the 1v2, because you'd have to expect Mithy and Tabs to swap. What we do see from the rest of LemonDogs, though, is now this sort of later invade. Remember, it is patch 3.10, so the small camps only spawn at 2:05, and it allows you to play a little bit more aggressively in this first minute of gameplay, because now you haven't lost a wolf camp, you haven't lost a wraith camp. You can go back to your jungle, farm up your buff, and then take the small camps.
So that 5 pick from RNA has had moderate success, I think we can call it. You see Dexter just waiting a little bit to take down the blue buff there, putting a couple of attacks onto him, but Creaton and Jerry headed up in towards this top side, and that will actually leave us in the end after all that switching that went on with the 2v2 anyway.
Yeah, it's definitely what Alternate wanted. You pick the Blitzcrank into the Twitch Sonar because it is going to be a benefit. You can even, squash the rat very, very quickly if you land a good rocket grab. And when you say moderately successful, it's 100% moderate. He's got a 50% win-loss ratio with RNA playing Vi.
That was a lot of percentages.
There was. I got a bit carried away there.
He's 100%, 50%, 40% of the time. So RNA now got both of his buffs on that moderately successful Vi. He's got 200% of all the buffs on the map. No, that doesn't make any sense. That's why we've got a maths guy to sort out the table, guys, because I am not very clever.
Well, right now you can see Kerb still level 1, J-Ree still level 1. He's trying to get himself in a position where he can get the grab and the knock-up. That's the key. You want both of those CCs down. Follow that up with the hail of arrows from Creaton, and then we'll see how much damage they can put down as they've just hit level 2. So the risk is always there for Mithy.
Yeah, you can see that he's started to back away from that one. He wants no part of Blitzcrank's, fist coming into him and dragging him straight back from that one. Well, we'll see how he plays it. You can see he's just hanging around in the bush, basically, trying to keep himself completely out of vision from it.
And the wave is pushing against Alternate right now, so they're able to sit a little bit back, play this a little more defensively, and I guess in general they're happy with their getting levels because they need a little bit more ratios or base damage on their abilities to get the kills. But they've got this window where Blitzcrank is super powerful early on, and I would have expected them to have taken more advantage of it. It could just be waiting for RNA because they are very dependent on his ganks.
Well, he is coming in towards Nuke in that mid lane. Summoners are up across the map here, so doesn't look like he's going to be too worried with that one. RNA just going to head straight back off towards his jungle once again and be doing farming. Dexter, he's actually on the bottom side of his jungle as well, and as I said earlier, we've traditionally seen him camping out a lot of lanes for quite a while, trying to get those 1-2 kills onto one champion, specifically in the mid lane, Nuke, and then moving to help Zoro Zero do exactly the same.
So we do see him moving to the mid lane right now. If he gets a good knock up here, it could be trouble, and he does manage to knock him up.
Yeah, does manage to get the knock up from this one. Forello does have flash and actually flashes away because there is Aranea who comes through, but Dexter himself then flashes off. A lot of flashes going on.
Yeah, a bit of a trade, but that works out more beneficial for the LemonDogs. The fact that Nuke has his flash and his ignite available means that Pharrell Lord is at risk of being taken out once they hit level 6. All you're going to see Dexter do is go to maybe a safer lane, potentially even sit in the jungle until he's got his cooldowns back. Right now, the perfect bait.
There is the perfect bait coming in. Jerry dropping very, very low from this one. He's going to try and get up. The exhaust is actually down there onto Tabs. The poison is ticking, but Jerry is going to be able to survive this one with, about 50 HP remaining on him. Mithy actually just coming back around into lane there, and that was very, very close.
That was a very good call from LemonDogs. They realized that they could, bait in that rocket grab, put themselves out of position because the knockup would follow immediately after, and it did. What we did see leading up to that is just how much zone control J-Ree was putting in the lane. You can see that Tabs is already 10 CS behind, and yeah, fair enough, there's about 10 or so creeps in the lane here. He hasn't been able to last hit them in the center of the lane because J-Ree is just scaring them away so impressively well.
And this lane we've not really seen much of up until now because, well, there's not really been much going on down there. Lissandra versus Zach. Just a lot of farm going from both Zoro and Kerp, and as such, they're pretty much level on that CS as well.
This is a farmer armor lane if ever we've seen one. There's not really kill potential for either of these champions at this point in time. Maybe Zoro if he builds a bit of ability power penetration with an Ignite, could deal some damage to Kerp, but Kerp's got some good range. He's got the ability to root Zoro and use that Claw of Doom to get away. So at this point in time, it's just farm until I can impact team fights or challenge for Dragon, as we've been seeing.
So there's Dexter once again. He's crossing over into RNA's jungle just to put a ward down, though, crucially because he'd already been spotted headed around there by the ward that was down earlier. There's a pink ward as well for Nukeduck, and here's another point from the LemonDogs that that Nukeduck pretty much never wards. That always falls down to Dexter to do.
And in terms of that ward in particular, I think it could signal some sort of focus towards a dragon, something of an early dragon. We've been noticing that with the changes in 3.10, dragons are coming, 8, 9, 10 minutes more frequently than not. So we'll see. If this gank doesn't pay off, Dexter may roam around and try set that one up. You see him waiting in the tri-bush, the pink ward is down, and Mithy played bait last time. He's trying to do the same now.
Are they going to fall for it this time? Jerry, he's got an open path to run in there, knock Mithy up, and save the grab for later on.
It's too juicy.
It's too obvious for him. He feels that, I think, here, that, hang on a minute, why would he be doing that unless there is a jungler in the presence? As Kerp actually has wandered up towards this middle lane here. Nukeduck not going to be falling for that one. Dexter is still waiting. There is the grab coming in onto Mithy. RNA is actually here this time around. Mithy going to go low. Actually flashes away from it. And after all that, nothing happens.
Burned his own flash playing bait. They had not counted into the fact that Aranea would be there, and the moment that Vi showed his face, immediately backed away. Got away cleanly, but what it does mean is that there's no flash against a Blitzcrank, and a Blitzcrank Varus that are very close to hitting 6. So the next hook could potentially be First Blood.
There's the first blue buff headed over towards the mid laners. Nukeduck gonna have that one. Same is up over for alternate side of the map as well. Zoro there. Taking a decent chunk of damage. Lissandra, double Doran's ring, plus the Negatron cloak, and therefore Zoro going in for the cowl, the new item that everybody's loving up until now, it seems.
Yeah, it's a really, really cost-effective item. It gives you, sustain in lane, gives you regen when you take some damage, a very good statistics and magic resist for its price, and we're just seeing it built on basically everybody right now. Well, that'll most likely get upgraded to the Spirit Visage, and make Zoro unkillable in lane. With his Cell Division, he's just going to use those abilities, get his HP back up as Lord secures his first blue buff.
Yeah, that's going to be headed over. So same on both sides there for the mid laners right now in terms of CS. A 6 CS lead for Nukeduck, but Dexter again falling back into that same pattern that we've seen so far for the LemonDogs of trying to get in on that mid lane. But again, Lord is out of range for the knock-up. There's nothing that they can really do there.
Lord's actually been playing very safely for most of this, opening 10 minutes. He's been closer to his tower than elsewhere, and he's doing well at farming, but has felt a little bit of the pressure there of Nukeduck and some of the ganks from Dexter. But what we are seeing as we get the later stages of this game, because we haven't had the 2v1s, because we haven't had junglers forcing towers down, you do get this extended laning phase, this extended slower pace of the game, and it's very reminiscent of what happened between Alternate and NIP. The difference is, Alternate is keeping up in gold and CS, where NIP were not.
So here we go then. RNA are going to get involved. Oh, Chain of Corruption completely fluffed, but they managed to get the grab onto Mithy before the crescendo goes down. He's going to fall very low from this. Jerry going to be exhausted. Well, this is going to be a kill, and he goes over to Creatine. Big pick up there. Tab's trying to turn it around. Sponge comes out, but RNA is not going to die to the poison.
He needed to get one more auto attack down, and that would have killed off RNA, but as we talked about, no flash on Mithy. He's the next grab. Costs him his life. Even though the crescendo locked up all 3 members of Alternate, he was simply too far overextended thanks to that rocket grab, and First Blood secured.
First Blood secured for Alternate, and that's what they needed here. A woeful day yesterday, going 0 for 2, which certainly wasn't in their plans, that's for sure. There's no doubt about that one. Well, up until now, at least, that is going to be different from this one. We're seeing Kerp here looking like he's headed up towards that Abyssal Scepter straight away, but he needs to be careful here. Dexter's coming down.
So Dexter does have Cataclysm available, and what they need to do if they want to kill a Lissandra is time the knock-up and land the Cataclysm after the Claw of Doom has been used. Unfortunately for LemonDogs, there's still a flash available for Kerp, so I think after calculating all the mobility and potential escapes, they said, let's let the Ice Queen go.
Let that lane cool off a little bit and we'll come back later. So, pink ward's down by the Dragon then. And that's going to give Alternate the control of it, at least for now. And his first blood on Creatin, we know how ridiculously good Creatin is. There's no doubt about that. His KDA just shows it throughout, and his performances have just been so good all season. To give a man like that first blood is most definitely dangerous. Got in there with a vamp set to now double Doran's Blade plus the boots. And
more importantly than just the first blood, he's got a 20 CS lead as well. And that's partially due to the ganks, but more importantly, due to Jerry's zoning on Blitzcrank. If you keep throwing your eyes down to that minimap every now and again, when they're in the 2v2 situation, you'll see Blitz really zoning them out. A little bit of a Dragon engage is started by LemonDogs, but they don't have the sustained damage to drop that safely enough, and just the presence of Alternate scares them away.
Yeah, no real need to be risking 2 or 3 men going down, considering you've just lost the first blood as well. And Alternate, their positioning there looked to me almost as if they were thinking, okay, they've backed off, maybe we could actually take the Dragon right now. Not going to be really presenting itself. But a push on this mid lane will result in a good few auto attacks coming off it, and as a result, half of the health really from that tower gone.
There is a scary amount of burst potential here from Alternate just with the 4 members around, and Kerp has teleport available, so keep that in mind. Anytime 4 members of Alternate are grouped up at an objective, Kerp could join at a fairly short moment's notice. The one thing that they will chain as far as Alternate are concerned, land the rocket grab, follow that up with the Salt and Battery from Vi. Once the target's down, push on the objective.
There's Zoro getting himself back down to that bottom lane for his farm. And so far is holding out nicely, pretty much bang even with his opposite number. Alternate, though, still have this 3-man team in middle, and that means that Dragon is always constantly an option for them at this time, and it looks like they're going to take that option.
There is no pink ward here from Alternate, so they do not have vision control, and they are in full vision of the LemonDogs. Dexter has Smite and Cataclysm available, but there's no rats. Can they go in?
The rat's not there, but LemonDogs are actually going to go in for this one. Let's bounce going around the entire team. There's a shockwave on towards Nukedog. They're going to get caught up as Aranea goes right to the backside. It's Zoro going low, and right now that will actually leave us with a 1-for-0. Zoro got away.
4 versus 5, LemonDogs win the fight, but Alternate did secure the Dragon. So trading 1 death for a Dragon is a fair trade. However, it's going to potentially cost them this tower. Teleport's coming in from Kerp. He lands, manages to avoid the charm by a millisecond, and they successfully defend the tower. Overall, advantage Alternates.
Yeah, they now have a 1,500 gold lead from that one as well. Creighton still doing a good job of actually getting that farm off. He's now got that BF sword added in, so not going up towards that Blade of the Rune King, which Creighton generally doesn't tend to go for as a matter of urgency.
Yeah, it depends as well on the type of Varus player, because the way Varus scales, you can go for the likes of Bloodthirster into Last Whisper and have your piercing arrows just decimate your opponents. I quite like that in this composition, because outside of the fairly short-range poke of Lissandra and Orianna, long-range piercing arrows could be very good for sieges. Get somebody low or get the waves cleared, it means rocket grabs are all that much easier.
Just laughing at each other down in the bottom lane. They've pretty much been left on an island here. They're, I'm sure, very happy when a team calls, okay, let's go to Dragonlane. Yes, finally, people to talk to and associate with here, because they've been completely left to their own devices down in that bottom lane up until now. And well, they've both been doing equally as good a job. Pretty much bang even. Zoro got himself an assist after that one. Almost lost it. I say almost lost his life. Almost had his passive popped at least. And he's now got himself up to that Spirit Visage. On the other side, the Abyssal Scepter in there as well.
So the thing about these types of games where we hit 15 minutes and it's basically just a farm fest is it escalates incredibly quickly, because we don't see small skirmishes where you're reliant on base values of champions. You'll only start seeing fights when everybody's basically equipped, armed to the teeth and ready to fight. So it's like mutually assured destruction kind of battles. And when you see Jerry, he's going to boost himself up, try get in, basically just looking for people, but there's no Tabs or Mythy to find. Tabs and Mythy wandering, just getting some good vision control in defense of Aranea.
Grabs up till now, not really been amazing coming out of Jerry. I mean, he's landed them. But we can give him that.
Yeah.
A couple that we've seen from him in the top lane, he's actually landed, but they were both baits where Mythy wanted to actually get hooked in.
Yeah, I've got to agree with you there in that Jerry has been hesitant with his blitzcrank grabs. He's playing it more as a zoning potential than he is actually as a killing potential. And as we're talking about that, both Dexter and Aranea have joined in here. There's no flash for Dexter, but they've cleared out the pink ward. So Aranea, he knows he's safe and clear. He knows he's not been spotted. And we could see, if a rocket grab doesn't land, there won't be a fight, basically.
Well, Dexter's just gone up there. I think he just did the most obvious thing in the world. Cleared that ward, walked away, and he's like, I'm coming back into the lane. Who would ever guess that one? Captain Obvious would definitely guess that. And I'm pretty sure that Alternate completely believe that he's there. We'll see here in a second because Dexter is still waiting. Critten's actually coming out a little bit.
Oh,
throwing
this
out
is brave.
Arrow.
A knock-up combo into Cataclysm could lock Cretin in, but he's still got his flash available. So I think Dexter is sort of like, well, they may have figured it out, guys. I think they've got this one down. And Mythy's just like, no, but wait, I'm sure it'll work.
You don't need to be anywhere else. It's time you babysit our lane for a while, my friend. Either way, in the end, the duo of Alternate did go back home. And actually, you're going to come back into the map via that middle lane. So they may go for a bit more damage on that middle outer turret, as we saw earlier.
Dragon's going to be up in about 2 minutes as well. So they could start trying to play around this area of the map, get some vision down, and maybe move it. But instead, they're just going to focus the tower. They've got a numbers advantage, and there's no one around to defend.
Grab comes out from J-Ree, just throwing it out there. Maybe, no, let's see if we can grab someone on the way out after the tower. Obviously, it doesn't land, and, well, they'll take the advantage of the tower. The first one of the game here as well, which gives Alternate now a steady 2,000 gold lead.
That was the most casual tower I think I've ever seen.
Yeah.
They basically just walked up to it, knocked it over, and walked away. LemonDogs not expecting that type of push. I mean, I don't think anybody would have. And unfortunately, they lose their first tower. They're still doing well, keeping them in CS. They are Dragon behind and a tower behind, which is why the gold is different. As we do see Zoro with that Spirit of Visage. He jumped on Kerp.
Oh, he has jumped on Kerp here as well, and he's doing good amounts of damage. He's not quite going to get the finishing blows, though. Ignite not enough to help him tick that over for a kill that would have put LemonDogs back into the lead on that front.
And if he'd waited 5 seconds longer, he would have had his flash available. He could have flashed off the Kerp, got a couple more bounces and the unstable matter down. That may have been enough to secure a kill. Instead, unfortunately, he went a little sooner, saw an opportunity, seized it, and it didn't pay off.
Well, one good thing from Zoro Zero's side here is that he has now built a CS lead with that one, forcing Kerp out of lane. He's going to have a decent amount to go, decent amount of gold to go back and spend here with this one, up to 172 to the 157, and see adding a Giant's belt into his repertoire.
And completing the Sorcerer's Shoes as well. So he already won that trade, albeit a little bit prolonged. With the additional penetration, that might actually work even more in his favor. We do see Jerry once again getting vision control. That's the 3rd pink ward we've seen in the top tri-bush for Alternate. So every time they pink that one up, Aranea is not far behind, and he's looking for something to happen, but at the moment both teams are just playing super defensive.
Oh, Dexter waiting there in the death bush. No,
don't kid yourself
this
Joe.
time.
Don't get excited.
Well, I was just about to say, you know what happened last time we saw a pink ward war with a LemonDogs game. That was our final one of yesterday, and it was a slow one, to say the least, but I'm hoping that you were right with the whole, it's going to get explosive
Don't
at
hold
some
that against
point.
me. Don't hold that against me.
No, we all are. However many 100,000 people tune into the stream right now. It's all about you.
This time round, Alternate have the timer on the Dragon, and more importantly, they put a pink ward down, so they know that LemonDogs cannot see them. They don't know they're stood right on top of a LemonDogs ward. As Friendlord's caught!
Yeah, he's going to have to flash from this one. The shockwave goes down onto Tabs. There's Assault and Battery, and Tabs gets blown up from that one. There is Dexter. Great ultimate actually came out of Kurt from that, and right now it's a 1-for-1, but there is the crescendo coming down. But no one's really got the damage to follow up after they've blown everything, getting rid of Tabs.
More importantly, once all the CC was used, it was too late. There wasn't enough people centralized or focused on the hard crowd control to follow it up with damage. So the damage dealers got dropped, the Foreign Lord and Tabs, and then they just landed CC and sort of went, well, this kind of sucks, guys. But the fact that the mid laner is down the AD carry is down for LemonDogs allows Cretin and the rest of Alternate to group up and challenge for Dragon more securely.
Yeah, and with a Blitzcrank, they might be able to get a target. We're talking about you here, Mythic, that they can blow up before anything else happens, but they need to be careful. Zoro Zero's waiting. And he will no doubt jump in. Dexter's off to the side as well, but they're too slow. Finished off in the end by Kerp. And RNA didn't use his smite. Dangerous.
It was dangerous, but it was a little bit calculated. Alternate actually stopped attacking the dragon until the Damascene standard wore off. And then once the flag had disappeared from view, then the rest of Alternate committed. So Alternate maybe just missing the trigger by a brief second, not anticipating quite as much damage from the rest of his teammates.
So another one picked up there for Alternate, and that brings us back to a 3,000 gold now. So whilst it's not the quickest of gold changes that we're seeing, Alternate are slowly but surely working themselves into a great position in this game. Right now, RNA are coming down towards Zoro-Zero's position, who, as I was saying, is hella tanky at this point. He's going to use his Let's Bounce here to try and get away. They're kind of flopping around in midair. There is the Elastic Slingshot, actually gets ulted up here, and he's going to get his passive popped here, but they're right underneath the tree. They're going to need help. There we go. Ball is down, and he's going to get a finish here. Pharrell Lord picks it up. Nice kill for Alternate. Took a while, as it does when you have to chase down a Zac, but it doesn't matter.
Chain of Corruption.
Chain of Corruption landed, but look at the timing on Dexter. Perfectly.
He manages to land, but he actually missed the knock-up combo. So I think that may have worked out better for him. He may have been caught out, took some damage from the tower. They may trade towers as Ultimate secured kill in the bottom lane, and thanks to forcing Creatin and Jerry back, the first tower of the game is secured for LemonDogs up top.
Oh, that leaves Alternate still in there with that advantage. That would have been typical if Kurt would have died to the tower there and it would have stayed alive with its 1 HP or whatever. NewDuck has also taken this middle turret, which was low from earlier. And here comes Jerry flying through. He is in the middle of nowhere with that one, trying to predict where Dexter was running. Dexter out-predicting him.
Managing to avoid the shot, changing his path at the last second, and obviously threw Jerry off a little bit. The thing about Blitzcrank now, as we have 2 towers down aside, is vision is supreme now for Alternate. If Alternate do not have complete vision control on their side of the jungle, and maybe even the entrances to the LemonDog side of the jungle, the rocket grabs are forever going to be blind and guesswork. So like you just seen, Dexter basically changing his pathing and the rocket grab going awry. Without vision, that's going to happen continuously, and it's going to negate the impact of Jerry's Blitzcrank.
Let's have a look down some of the other items then in here. We have a Death via Grass now finished off for NewDuck. So with that Abyssal Scepter, you don't want to go head-to-head with him there.
Not at all. The thing is, NewDuck has foregone picking up boots at this stage in the game and decided to go for raw power. And you can do that with an Ahri because of her ultimate, but he's less likely in moving to lane, setting up ganks. And that's also why the game has been so much slower. NewDuck is not ganked atop a side lane at all because it takes him a year and a half to get there.
Yeah, and that's almost not what we're used to seeing from LemonDogs. We're used to seeing NewDuck starting to, get moving around the map and helping things out on other fronts, and that may be just a result of Alternate playing quite defensively overall.
Yeah, and I definitely think it's the fact that LemonDogs want to guarantee a first place seed. They want to guarantee that top spot. They don't want to throw a game against a team that has been doing well for most of the split, most of the season. While we're looking at this bottom lane, Kerp was hanging out in that tri-bush, was thinking about coming in with the Claw of Doom, but Tabs and Middy backed away before they got to the tower, and we're never really at risk of being jumped on it. More and more big items are being picked up here. You've almost got a Sunfire Cape on Zoro-Zero. Last Whisper was just completed by Creatin, so those piercing arrows are just going to shred through everything. And the next fight that happens, it's not going to be a 1-for-1 trade. There's going to be way more dead people.
Yeah, and Frelnor, I believe, now has the money for his death cap as well. So he will be headed straight back home for that one. Does, in fact, have enough. So death cap going to be collected and added on top of that Athene's Unholy Grail, which means that those shockwaves now are going to be doing some mean damage as well as offering that brilliant CC that comes with it.
So one of the things I am noticing about the items is that there are 2 fairly early Home Guard boots picked up for both Kerp and Pharrell. They really wanted to get out of base quickly. And that could have been because of the slow pace of the game. If they can react like they did in the mid lane, it worked out. Now you see them grouped up in the bottom. Chain of Corruption is key here. Here comes Kerp.
Yeah, the claw coming over. They managed to lock down Dexter. Where is the grab going to come from Jerry? They're going off towards mid. He was going to sacrifice himself. That should keep the rest of his team happy, or will it? Dexter gets caught out by 2 ultis in a row, and that will be 2 kills mopped up by Alternate. In the meantime, though, NewDuck, he's pushing this mid turret with Zoro-Zero.
The towers are way more important than the kills in a matchup like this, especially when you consider how quickly both teams can take towers down. If a base race situation were to occur, Alternate are going to win this one because of the fact that Curb can try to defend, but he's caught.
He's going to get caught from this one, actually trying to back away, but will fall there to the ignite of Nuke Duck, and they're going to try and keep on this tower, and minions finally do come in, but Alternate are on the inhibitor tower down in this bottom lane.
They haven't stopped yet. They've got enough members alive to take out the inhibitor. Alternate with a massive, massive play, deciding to pick it up. Tabs, however, has now moved to the mid lane. He foregone defending bottom,
go for it.
And he's going to pick up inhibitor. We may see a full base race.
We may see that here as well. Inhibitor is down on the bottom side, but Alternate are actually backing away. There's a shockwave, but they're going to lose that middle inhibitor nonetheless here. And you have to credit LemonDogs for getting that position. I mean, they're behind in this game. They've managed to get through the mid lane all the way to the inhibitor. Alternate did that in the bottom lane as well. Credit.
Whoever made the call for Tabs to run up mid deserves a medal, because that was the absolute perfect call. The fact that there are super minions on both sides of the map means that that sort of play is a little more risky to actually make happen. Alternate sees the advantage. They managed to get a couple of towers, managed to get an inhibitor, but it was immediately evened out. Both teams afraid of the champions playing the map right now.
So let's have a look at the gold to go home with here for Alternate, because pretty sure they got a decent amount. Yeah, 1,700 there for Varus, 1,000 on the support, 1,100, 1,600 on Lissandra and Vi as well. So they're going to be coming back in here, and funnily enough, Quicksilver Sash picked up for Orianna.
Very afraid of the crowd control, afraid of the crescendo, afraid of the charm, and basically just trying to get some MR to deal with the burst. Yeah, I mean, it's survival item for these team fights, and unfortunately with the inhibitors down, this game's actually going to go slower. I hate to be the bearer of bad news. Teams are going to be fending off the super minions.
You said, Trevor.
I know I did. I know I did.
Well, it did get explosive. We saw an inhibitor race, let's call it that, and where both teams did manage to take those ones down, and now they're going to go back into that bit more of a farming phase, just to make sure that they can get up towards these next items. I mean, if we look at the 280 carries here, Bloodthirster, Last Whisper, forget all that, we're doing Baron.
Right now, because of the fact that Tabs is so far away, they're going to be able to do this one a little bit safer. Zoro0's been caught out on the side, rooted in place, preventing the vision. But here comes Dexter and the rest of the LemonDogs. Baron's down to 3,000 HP, and there they go.
The Rat's nowhere near, though, here, and Zoro0 going to come through. There's the crescendo coming in as well. Baron super low, picked up by Alternate, though, and Zoro0 now the focus at the back. He's going to get his passive popped, but they're still going in there as well. Miffy's still alive, but Dexter will drop inside of his Cataclysm. 2 kills coming down here for Alternate, but they're all very low, and the Rat is now in town. They pick up 1 kill. Aranea will drop. That's a double now coming down for Tabs. That was right through the back as well. Lord survived with nothing. Creatine had a little bit more. Curb, well, he was nowhere near because he died earlier. No, he went back,
2 for 2 trade. Curb managed to get away with his life. Luckily, he may have died earlier. No, he got away with his life. He's only died once in defending. But Claw of Doom and Flash got him out of that one. In terms of the trade, 2 for 2. Baron goes to Alternate, so they get the gold, they get the buff. And the buff is remaining on the carries. Top lane and mid lane and their AD carry. If that fight were to happen again, Alternate now have a little bit more of an advantage because of all the statistics that Baron gives them.
And we have to put it a different way as well. The fact that Alternate tanked up Baron so long, took a lot of damage over a long period of time, and then the Rat comes in, and it's the kind of champion that you can really clean house with there at the end. So Alternate overall making a decent decision, I think, to go pick up that Baron. All the gold, the buff coming in as well, certainly going to help them out.
It was a very unexpected one, and it was one that became a fruit of victory thanks to the bottom inhibitor being down. Somebody has to deal with the super minions in the bottom lane, and because it was Tabs that was farming up the wave and dealing with those supers, Alternate just said, hey, this is going to be an easy pickup for us, relatively so, because the AD carry wasn't there.
That is a blue buff for Lord. Obviously, Zoro0 is just defending his right now. So he's pretty big Zac at this point. And got plenty of armor, got plenty of magic resist coming in there as well. Hard to kill, they did manage that. He was pretty much 100% health when Curb really set about him. Alternate here going to get the final outer turret of the game.
To be fair, the reason the reason that Creatine was able to, Tabs was able to get in there and have such an impact is because of how long it took him to kill Zoro0. He jumped in like 1v3, 1v4. The entire team of Alternate were focusing him down, and it just bought all the time in the world for the Rat to get there. Aranea dashes himself forward. Tabs is way off to the side. He needs to get himself in a more opportune position to help defend this tower.
Go for the Banshee's Veil here as well. What's that magic resistant? That extra shield to survive. Well, whatever they throw at him, basically, that could be a shockwave at the end of the day. So
it's rocket grab defense.
Yeah, and that as well. Yeah, of course. Don't want to get pulled out there as the rat. And now they sit back here. It looks like they want to put up a defense on this inner turret.
Yeah, and remember that on that Banshee's Veil, the cooldown on the shield, the spell shield is now 25 seconds, so it is significantly shorter than maybe some of you guys used to remember. It's not an item we've seen too frequently. The slingshot was being charged, but they decided against it. Instead, Dexter's been caught.
Dexter's gone in from this one. He's going to put Cataclysm down. That is a brilliant crescendo, and the left bounce is destroying them as well. Aranea goes super low. They've managed to finish off really low. Not quite. The shockwave comes out from that one, but he will fall in this one. Charm actually hitting the minions, but that won't matter. Now Kerp going to be chased down. Tabs is the one trying to get in on him. There's the expunge coming in. He's going to stealth himself up. Get slowed again. It's a slow, painful chase this to try and finish off Kerp, but honestly, they could push up middle.
LemonDogs should rush for the inhibitor right now. It has respawned, and even though there's a bunch of super minions there, get the inhibitor, push to the top lane, get the tower down, and then to the bottom lane and get the towers. That's what LemonDogs should be doing, finishing up the objectives that'll give them the global gold and help extend their lead further.
And there we go, going straight on in. Rat comes out of his stealth, and that will be inhibitor taken. And well, I'm going to spend a little bit of time trying to peg those super minions back there. There's a good bunch of them actually got together. Next, they're going to have to do the same, though, down in this bottom lane. So after all that, a good Baron pickup, but what a fight from LemonDogs.
Yeah, and it was actually a fight that backfired almost, because the slingshot was being charged by Zoro. He decided not to jump in. Nukta charms up Aranea, doesn't chase it, though. And then Dexter, he hadn't been told that Zoro was not jumping in. He locked 4 in with a Cataclysm, and Mythi single-handedly won that fight with a crescendo. Yep. Locked up 4 of them, bought time for Zoro to recharge his slingshot, bounce all up everywhere, and it just decimated the HP bars of Ultimates.
This must be worrying for Alternate as well. I mean, that was a Baron-up team, and they just lost it. And they're 0-2 this weekend. They can't afford to lose, really.
This is also what cost Alternate the game against SK. Alternate picked sort of a similar type of pick composition without a real hard initiation really on their side. Whereas LemonDogs and yesterday SK had a very clear initiation pattern, had a very clear, this is the dude that's going to jump in and pick a fight. And there's 2 of them for LemonDogs, Jarvan and Zac. Can jump in from range, from safety, from out of sight. And Alternate, they're not reacting to those engagements as effectively as they need to.
So 33 minutes into this game. 5-4 in towers. Gold not massive, honestly, for where we are and what's really been going on. LemonDogs right now headed towards the top side of the map. They themselves have taken down the outer turret on that lane. Obviously, the middle's pretty much gone from that little race that we had.
Arenea's in trouble.
Oh, there we go. There's a knock-up, and they're just going to completely pick him off from this one. Not being able to escape. Tabs picks up that kill. That should be this turret.
That might even be challenged on the next inhibitor turret. You can see Kerp using the claw to get away safely. They take down the outer lane turret, and with a 5v4, they might even want to pick a team fight.
Well, we've seen what they can do with that with a Cataclysm and the crescendo coming out. The grab from Jerry in the middle of nowhere once again. And are they going to look for that engage? There's spray and pray coming in. They've gone for it. Crescendo comes down. They're bouncing all over them as well. Kerp is going to go very low. Has to ulti himself. Already use that Zhonya's as well. Are they going to finish him here? He's super low. Blitzcrank goes down. There is a snipe back, but LemonDogs are actually headed away from this one.
The chain of corruption was very important. It locked them under the tower, and Tabs was tanking it up for so long that it dropped their HP bars. Minions have managed to take out the bottom outer tower, and Creatin without his ultimate, Kerp without his ultimate, it's going to be a difficult defense.
Yeah, but they need to be careful. They're low, the LemonDogs, but that turret...
It's so juicy.
Excruciatingly close to going down from this one as Aranea actually just dodging away from the charm from that. LemonDogs need to back off now, and the thing is, Alternate, if they can hold them there, if they can stop them actually hitting that recall button, they might be able to push out afterwards.
Yeah, the problem right now is they've got super minions to deal with in the mid lane. They've got a very big wave of minions in the bottom lane. So, unfortunately for Alternate, they do have to peel away, deal with those two lanes. And what LemonDogs will be doing on their way out now, picking up a bunch of wards, warding up the red buff of Alternate, and now challenging for Baron. He may have been stealthed. I didn't actually see through the Banshee's Veil.
Yeah.
Ambush and then recall. I'm sure somebody on stream noticed it.
Either way, Alternate are going for Baron here now.
This is risky.
This is risky because a full HP LemonDogs are coming right back at them.
Now, there's only
except NukeDuck, who's down in the bottom lane pushing that right now.
He's going to be on the inhibitor turret very, very soon. Smite is available for Dexter, and we're going to see a repeat of the previous team fight. However, Creatin's here earlier.
Yeah, Creatin coming in for this one. He's managed to steal it. Dexter goes in there, smites it down. He's going to die, but it doesn't matter. They pick up the kill on the Baron. Tabs has fallen as well, and NukeDuck is pushing the base. He's on the inhibitor itself. The turret went down long ago. Zoro, the big lump of goo that he is, totally fails to stop those two guys going back. But it doesn't matter because NukeDuck has taken down the inhibitor. Aranea might even pay for it with his life here if he's followed through. That was a brilliant crescendo, basically. And NukeDuck now is being chased out of his base. There is the lockdown from Kerp. But NukeDuck's still going. He's doing a lot of damage. The charm coming out. There's the Claw of Doom, finished off by Aranea.
At the end of the fight, it is a 1-for-3 trade with LemonDogs losing. However, they picked up the inhibitor on the bottom lane. They've got super minions on the Nexus turrets, and they managed to steal the Baron away. So there's no Baron buff for Alternate to play with. LemonDogs should be forcing objectives in the top lane, while super minions do the rest of the work.
Look at Mithy and Zoro there, causing all kinds of problems. Look at that tower as well. It's so very, very low. They couldn't get it down on that last push. And those, I'm going to just go throw this one out there. If they'd have got that inhibitor on that last push, by the way, I think those Nexus turrets would have been dead now with an extra super minion pushing through onto them. Either way, brilliant steal from the LemonDogs. Yes, the fight after wasn't amazingly good, but they had NukeDuck to push through the bottom lane and take the inhibitor there.
Yeah, but the timing on that smite from Dexter was absolutely perfect, and he followed it up with a Cataclysm, just locking everybody together. Unfortunately, for Tabs, he got caught by the Rocket Crab. Now, if that had not happened, that team fight would have been way different, and the game may have been over right now. But, well played by Alternate to, at the very least, get rid of the damage dealer during the course of the fight. The problem they have to deal with now, super minions in one lane, exposed inhibitors in the other, and Nexus turrets and outer turret, all three turrets, down to less than 200 or 300 odd HP.
Such a close game here. And Alternate, they were the ones in the driving seats here. They were the one that have been going for Baron. They picked it up the first time, not without incident though. I mean, it wasn't completely free. There was a chance that if it had been stolen there. Didn't happen that time, but this second time, Dexter coming in from that. If we look at the gold right now, it's closed up completely again.
That Baron, the very first Baron from Alternate, was a risky call, and I don't think anybody expected it. It backfired for them in that it gave LemonDogs the time that they needed to just wait out the inhibitor, wait for the super minions to stop, and then it just allowed them to push out. And the LemonDogs team fight power is much stronger than that of Alternate right now. LemonDogs Zoro is charging up that slingshot, cancels it, gets a little bit of that cooldown back, and as we talked about, the focus is the top tower.
Yeah, it's going to go down here. Or not. As we see a shockwave used on a Banshee's veiled up rat. That is not the best start to a fight that Alternate could have. There's another hook thrown out from Jerry. Doesn't land. Zoro swinging his big gooey arms at that middle inhibitor right now. And the rest of the team might come across. Those Banshee's veils that Alternate had are all being popped one by one here as that turret goes down. And we may just see them get away from this one. There's a crescendo. There is a Cataclysm. Let's bounce coming in from the side here. Zhonya's is going to be used. Zoro is right there, but where is Tabs? He's actually being CC'd right now, taking a lot of damage, but he's still alive, crucially. Aranea going to slam him to the ground, but he's going to have to back away, taking away from the poison. This is going to be a kill on Tafrel. No, not quite. NukeDuck not got enough, but they may try and finish.
All of that just for a single kill. We actually see a teleport into his own base from Kerp. Kerp deciding that the home guard boot not quickly enough to join the party, cancels them off, and LemonDogs back away. With 3 inhibitors down and double super minions pouring into the base, it's a matter of time before the final team fight happens.
And I'll apologize for thinking that they might finish there. After all that, I didn't realize that only one guy had actually gone down from it. They managed to get themselves back onto the base and heal up. So crazy, crazy stuff here between LemonDogs and Alternate. And honestly, would we have expected anything else? The two teams that have been at the top of the league, the only two teams that have actually been in the top spot so far, putting on a brilliant show for us here.
Yeah, and talking about that as well, I'm going to go on a limb, and I believe only one game in the summer split a team has won while having a gold deficit. And right now, LemonDogs are looking to do the same right now. Minions are pouring through the top, middle, and bottom lanes. There goes NukeDuck.
Oh, and he's going to get ulted up here. Shockwave will drop him, and getting a little bit confident there. DFG going down, which, you know, really was the, okay, I'm going to do this one, but with Kerp able to lock him out of position. And no Zhonya's there for NukeDuck as well. That could actually come back and haunt him a little bit later. Well, it haunted him there.
More importantly about that, it's a 1-minute death timer, which means that the members of Alternate can fend off the double super minions and get closer to that bottom inhibitor respawning. Once that's back up, no more double super minions, and NukeDuck may have given Alternate a tiny respite, a tiny breather to deal with these super minions while he's in that death chamber.
Well, Dragon's not breathing anymore. That'll be picked up here by LemonDogs. And this top wave going to be held right back as far as possible away from those Nexus turrets. They don't want any damage coming in onto those. And we're still sat at a 4,000 gold lead for Alternate. There's a lot of Banshees Veils up, everyone's glowing, but we saw in that last fight how quickly they can be popped and how willing LemonDogs are to fight once that happens.
So the gold lead of 4,000 gold, I actually think may stay like this, or maybe even extend as we go further, purely because Alternate's got so many minions pouring into their base. As we talked about, while the death chamber was, while the death time was on NukeDuck, bottom inhibitor has spawned, so it's only single super minions once they clear out this next wave or two forcing onto them. It's not going to stop LemonDogs invading and pushing into the base for fights. They've got very good 5v5 team composition, and as long as Mythy keeps hitting those multi-man crescendos, the LemonDogs will keep winning team fights. RNA has gone super deep.
He's going in for this one. There's a shockwave available. There's a crescendo coming back, and actually the shockwave not going to be used up until now. Alternate taking a lot of damage as RNA are going to be hit by the DFG. They need NukeDuck right in on top of them right now. There is a shockwave, but it's onto the two tanky men. They've killed off RNA, and that is one man less to defend the base right now. This inhibitor on the bottom lane is going to be attacked, and look at the damage just from that command attack there coming out from Pharrell.
He's almost out of mana.
Actually going to pass it away. J-Ree coming in, going to hook in NukeDuck. Well, that's going to mean he dies. A kill comes back there, and now we only have 2 men left alive to save the day here for Alternate. The LemonDogs are going to do it. They're pushing in. First Nexus turret already went down to the super minions. Second one goes down. LemonDogs focus in, and they turn around a massive deficit. A brilliant performance here to beat Alternate and secure first position going through into the playoffs, whatever comes up in the rest of the day and tomorrow.
Absolutely every single member of LemonDogs was involved in 75% of the kills or more. Mythy in particular, 0-15 when his team only had 16 kills.
Yeah.
As a team, they made the decisions that were right. They stuck together. They had very good team fights. And unfortunately for Alternate, they're 0-3 on the weekends.
0-3, not the position they want to be in, but what a turnaround there. And if we look back onto some of those fights and to again give the credit to the players that really deserve it, which is honestly all of the team of LemonDogs at this point of things. Let's think about that one in the bottom lane, in the top lane technically. At the bottom of the top lane on LemonDog's side of the map when Alternate had Baron, the charge of the elastic slingshot comes in, they cancel it, but Dexter goes in anyway with the Cataclysm, but catches them all in there. It's followed up with an instant crescendo, and then the Let's Bounce right on top of them as well. It just doesn't get any more coordinated.
It's actually quite funny because I'm calling him out. I do think that was a mistake. I don't think Dexter intended to go in.
Best mistake all season.
Correct, because what it ended up doing is, as a team of Alternate, you see this juicy target and you go, he shouldn't have done that. Quickly, let's kill him. Let's burst him down and turn on the rest of the team. Not really remembering that there's an AoE CC stun, an AoE knockup from the rest of the team that comes in. And very importantly from Dexter, more importantly than the fact that he died and baited them in, he got the Cataclysm down. He locked them in so there was nowhere for them to go.
Until they got knocked out by Let's Bounce for a little while, but by then the damage is already done. And you have to look at it from the other side as well. For Ellenlord, we talked about the shockwaves and how important they're going to be. The defense of the top lane inhibitor, he used the shockwave on the Twitch. You had the Banshee's Veil up. Back on cooldown in that last fight there, he used the shockwave on Zoro Zero and on Dexter, the 2 tankiest men in the team.
He had hoped that the command attack would pop the Banshees and the shockwave would pull it in. And in terms of the composition, they were too mobile. Sona was never in range of a shockwave, while they had teamfights going spray and pray, kept Twitch way at the back line. He was never in range of the command attack and shockwave, and it was just very good play from LemonDogs in positioning and control in their team fights.
Well, as I said, they secure first position now. we were laughing at them at the start of the season when they said we're going to be #1, and look who's laughing now. lemon-dogs guaranteed #1. Let's get over to Demon and Jason to break down the game.
Thank you very much, Joe. What a game and what a performance. lemon-dogs really proving why they are the #1 team. You know, alternate, they were #1 for 7 weeks. 7 weeks, ladies and gentlemen. But lemon-dogs have just shown why they are the new daddies in town.
And just think, alternate, after being there for 7 weeks, could possibly be out of playoffs contention. Like, that is huge. But yeah, so lemon-dogs, that was a really... It was an interesting game. It started off really slow, and I don't think anyone can really deny that. Started off very slow, a lot of farming. A lot of ganking actually did come in, but it was always canceled. It was always countered by the other person. And we talked about yesterday how Dexter likes to be very aggressive early on, likes to pick up kills early on, but RNA was there every single time to stop that, or the other team would just flash out of it and really deny that. And that's why it was slow for like the first 20 minutes of that game. But there was something actually happening during that I really enjoyed looking at. It was Kurt bottom lane getting punished by Zoro quite well. So Zoro would just push the lane as quick as possible with his Zac, and then kind of just sit in that second bush waiting for Zoro to kind of push out. And then when he did, he just do a little bit of damage, go back to farming. And he kept up with him the entire time and actually surpassed him, I believe, at the end of that. And it actually kind of kept him... I mean, they didn't get any kills down there, but it kept him like strong enough and tanky enough to be a force to reckon with later on, which ended up kind of saving them.
Yeah, and Alternate got pretty much a lot of their comfort champions, if we're in all honesty. You know, they were happy on... We've seen them playing Lissandra so many times and absolutely dominating people. We've seen Orianna shockwaves coming out from Forellan Lord and destroying teams, but simply put, when the big fights came around, they didn't really have the crowd control. We saw Mithy pulling off some amazing crescendos in that fight.
I don't think I can count how many 4 or 5 band person crescendos they hit. Yeah, and also, like, they wanted to be the ones engaging. They wanted to be the ones in your face fighting because of the ball delivery system. But the thing is, lemon-dogs had a really good engaged team as well. And there was one fight towards the top tower about 31 minutes in where you get a 4-person cataclysm off Dexter, and then you see the Let's Bounce come in right behind that. But the most important thing is, Nukeduck, who is ridiculously strong at this point, hits a 4-man Q front and back across the entire team with the squishies there, takes him very low, and that was like the big, huge turning point, not to mention Dexter stealing away that Baron. Yeah,
not to mention, like you say, the Baron going back and forth, the fights. Nobody could really gain control, but there was almost a base race as well. We didn't even get to mention that.
And what was really interesting was that also they picked up 2 kills and went for the race. Like, they got the inhibitor. They actually came out ahead in that. I mean, yeah, they traded 1-for-1 inhibitors, but since the bottom one was taken, since there's super minions coming down that wave, or that lane, it means they can go for a free Baron, or they can bait lemon-dogs into a Baron. And that was really hard for lemon-dogs to turn that around, but once they got the inhibitor to respawn, they got that major fight at 31 minutes, were able to turn around, pick up an inhibitor, and kind of just take that game.
Yeah, fantastic, fantastic performance from the lemon-dogs, really proving why they're up there and actually making some scary rules for us, because there's a potential of a 6-way tie right now with Alternate going down and losing that game. It is so, so close here in the European LCS. We're going to go over to the man at the top, though. It is Nukeduck. He's with Shocks.
Thanks very much, Nukeduck. A great game on Ari. Once again, for the lemon-dogs, you just don't stop winning. How did you go into this one? Did you think, you know, we're just going to see what happens, or was it, we're going to prove that we're #1 and we're here to stay?
We go into this game as every other game, where we have somewhat a plan and we just try to win.
And what was that plan? We know that Aranea picked Vi again, and we heard from Diamond yesterday that it can be, you can counter it if you just pick right. Is that what you were able to do, or?
Yeah, Vi is really good at catching people off, but other than that, if you know how to play against her in team fights, she won't really do anything.
And for you personally, the Ari-Orianna matchup, how did that go as the game progressed?
It went completely equal. So not much action happening there. No one is able to kill each other without the jungler, so...
Yeah, it seemed a little bit that was the story in the early and the mid game for around the map. So at one point you guys had a base race, actually. So was it someone who made the call and said, we're going to have to go for these towers and inhibitors, we've got the chance if we do this?
Well, I just wanted to take 1 tower bot, and then we didn't know when Baron respawned, and then Baron respawned. So we were like, oh shit, I just have to push because I won't make it in time, so...
All right, and in the end, tell us about that Baron steal, but then effectively the follow-up not that good.
Well, we stole Baron, and then we were trying to stall the recalls to get all the inhibitors, but then the recalls weren't stopped, and I didn't back out in time, so I ended up dying, and we didn't get all the inhibitors.
But in the end, it all worked out. A great result for you guys once again. It seems that you guys have been performing well and practicing well all season, and that some of the other teams have just, for this weekend, stepped up their game with practicing even more. Is that maybe what makes the difference between you guys and just everybody behind you right now?
Actually, it might be. We practiced a lot every week since we got Mithy. We practiced all the time except for 1 week when people went home. So, and now I see that the other teams have been stepping up as well because they practice a lot. So it might be the case. Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you very much and congratulations on another victory for you guys.
Thank you.
All right.